Our next speaker is Professor Charu Monga. She is an assistant professor and dean at IIT Delhi, and she is with the Department of Design with expertise in visual communication, animation, and digital media and CGI. Her work in these areas integrates design and technology for creative storytelling. Professor Monga, Charu Monga, you there?
Hello. Yes, I'm
Okay,
here.
okay,
Yes,
good
great.
seeing you.
Thank you so much for such a nice introduction. And yes, I wanted to really, dedicate this presentation and, the whole thing to my colleague, my very best friend, Dr. Harsh. Uh, I'll just share the presentation. And in my presentation, I'm going to talk more about design. So I'm Charu, and before preparing this presentation, I thought, it's a good idea to talk about the contribution of design. And when we are actually thinking of designing something for elderly, whether it's in phones or whether it's in medicines, the day-to-day activities which they go through, or kind of a process they follow. Our previous speaker also mentioned so many uh, positive points regarding how to really look for things which are required to really bring something on table which elderly can use easily. So our world is aging, as we all know, over the period of time. Yeah. Okay. So we are going to be we are right now the youngest, but we are moving towards aging, and it's really important for us to really take care of the aging population, and gracefully every all the age group should gracefully they should age over the period of time. So the number of people we are expecting in 2050 around the world is more than 60 years old, and 2.5 billion population is going to be like that. 1 in 5 people in worldwide will be aged in 60 years over in 2050. So self-maintenance activities of daily living, including the ability of basic needs like going to washroom, feeding, dressing, grooming, bathing, and ambulate. There's so many things. Uh, the daily activities, which are meeting friends, spending time with families, children, those things become very much important over the period of time. Family bonds became important. Then instrumental activities of daily living, including the ability to successfully use the basic things to connect with the near and dear ones, whether it's telephone, whether it's going to a shop or preparing food for themselves, or guiding a house helper and giving or doing a laundry themselves, or taking somebody's help in doing these things, taking medications, remembering taking about medications. So these things are going to really, it takes a lot of effort when you age, and kind of keeping in track with day-to-day activities. So enhancing activities or of daily living, they need to include participation in social and enriching activities, for example, morning walk, building some day-to-day hobby, or engaging in get-togethers with friends, thinking of like positive things which helps them in helps older people grow very gracefully. Yes, with the as we grow, there are limitations, and the way as we were children, there were limitations. As we grow, we have limitations. We have physical limitations. Elderly people, they'll become motor limitations, gross and fine motor, movement limitation, balancing limitations. So there are multiple limitation comes with aging. Perceptual limitations are there, hearing and vision. loss, increase of number or multiple vision, basically possibilities which comes up over the age. Older people never they don't want to share, because over the period of time they have lived a very self-sufficient life, they have raised their children, and they don't want to really share it with their uh, sons and daughters. So they keep it to themselves. They only share it with their, very close friends and all. There are cognitive limitations, something they are not able to understand, something they are not able to make sense of or read properly. Cognitive resource poverty, memory limitations, emotional regulation. So these things come over the period of time as we age. There is with this, we know there are multiple things which are problems which are rising, and somewhere as a designer, we feel that we need to really work around it and really provide a cohesive society where, or inclusive society where, we feel that there's lot we can learn from each other. Because life, being born and being a child and becoming old is a process. So there is delirium, there is dementia, there is amnesia, and with that, there's for that there's a solution in terms of medications, right diet, and therapy. We focus more on therapy as a designer, or design how we can make a contribution. There is cognitive simulations through certain exercises one can do, cognitive training that can be designed, cognitive rehabilitation can be done in multiple cases. So there is there are cognitive simulation possibilities, engaging with activities involving some mental process. For example, it can be number game, it can be clickable games, or it can be something which simulates their, keep simulating the mental process. Also, parallelly, it is enjoyable. For examples, in the newspaper, you see puzzles are coming. So uh, reading newspaper itself and solving something around it, then talking to your friends after reading the newspaper, that also brings a kind of a gamified and more enjoyable approach, which helps in bringing the mental process more active. Cognitive training, using repetitive exercises or keywords to specific cognitive abilities. Many of computer-assisted delivered in person, individually, or in small groups. So those kind of exercises can be designed in smaller groups. There can be impact programs, luminosity. So there are multiple cognitive activities which can be planned also with the therapist as we move towards aging. Cognitive rehabilitation, tailored made, individual, and involves working on personal growth over the period of time, as all children are different, all elderly are different. They go through different kind of hardship in life, different kinds of ups and downs by raising their family, so many things happening in the family, taking care of that, bringing all the relatives and everyone together. So they go through many kind of things. So they can be like, bit of trauma also, as well as certain kind of distance, may have been evolved over the period of time when we talk about the cognitive rehabilitation. So can we bring tailored made individualistic working scenarios, for example, bringing some hobby or of maybe sewing, or something which we can do it with hands. Usually some kind of companion we can develop day timer, so those kind of things. Often using external cognitive, keep using using external cognitive aids, usually implemented in real life setting. So connect to the real world is also becomes stronger, as well as it brings peace to the mind and it becomes much more believable. Few things I will share, for example, digital games. We felt we have done research over the period of time, and we felt digital games as a solution really works for elderly population, and they can be used for multiple in multiple ways. For example, it can be used for cognitive training, rehabilitation, and simulation. Means you are using a game and to basically bring a bit of more training into the person's daily life, as well as at the back end, the data one is collecting, that can be also shown to the doctor, and doctor can really prescribe multiple kinds of digital levels or different sections which can help in rehabilitation of or keeping the aging healthy, I'll say, over the period of time. They are fun and entertaining and engaging games. They are inexpensive. These days, board games are there. You can also print them at home. Digital games are there. They are inexpensive. They do not cause any anxiety or nocebo, uh, which is like, this is something new for elderly. Introducing something new every time is a challenge, because the mind is already trained. The mind is already anxious consciously that they don't want to face something in real space. So I would like to give an example from one of my in from one of the person I know, whom I'm trying to spend time with as an elderly person. So she has an anxiety. So she was living her, of course, school teacher's life, and every time surrounded with students, spending time with younger minds, and trying to always do something interesting for them. But after the retirement, it becomes difficult, and she felt that kind of void which is happening. So what happened, over the period of time, the family members have thought, it will be a good idea to introduce her to some kind of activity, some kind of passion project. So she has a very good and interesting kind of passion for really creating something with craft. So so it's like the family member pushed them, why don't you showcase your work, or why don't you, put a stall in the nearby spaces, and introduce the children or introduce the family members how to go about it. So over the period of time, it has came out when the stall was being put up. There was a bit of anxiety to really face the people, face the audience itself. So we don't know when this kind of situation comes. It just family members have to keep uh, checking by doing certain activities, because us elderly population doesn't like to take help, or doesn't like to really share any kind of vulnerability in front of anyone, especially their children. So it becomes very important that the family should keep checking through certain activities, and always try to bring them more towards the more to bring build those kind of spaces where the group of people can interact. For example, morning park sessions, going to the park, meeting the friends, doing a small get together. So getting in touch with the human to human being becomes very important. It reduces anxiety anytime. Games are mobile. They can act as distractors in pain management. They can act as behavioral measurement tool for the doctors and researchers. As I said, doctors can really understand how much time has been taken to finish certain game, and according to that they can understand like what kind of exercises or prescriptions needs to be uh, prescribed. They enhance individualistic character such as self-esteem, self-concept, goal setting, very small goal setting. I know as right now, I do my day-to-day activities, but I set very longer goals like 6 months or 5 months, those kind of things. But over the period of time, it has been found that setting very small goals is important. For example, just 1 day goal that I have to go out and take shower or do an activity. So very small, short goals that gives a lot of confidence to the particular age group. There's a sense of achievement. There is a competitiveness. So all these things help psychologically. It brings down the anxiety level in elderly spaces. So a small we study games and we see how we can actually incorporate games. So I'll just give a small example. For example, very small exercises which is based on um, some tests which has been of course this has been developed with a psychologist, and very small tests we have developed which can be achievable. For example, take a test, a circle. There's a circle, and there is this parabola. You have to put this by dragging and dropping into this particular circle, put it in the game. So once person make it a part of the gameplay. So person puts it, and that's a winning. So that's simple. What I'm trying to say, building very small goals. In fact, 1 day is also within 1 day, they can be multiple very small tasks which can be assigned or shared and gamified. So there is a chance when you start doing or incorporating some kind of activities and exercises and gamified things into the life of day-to-day life of elderly. There's a possibility of early detection. It helps family members and doctors also to early detect the symptoms of dementia or what kind of causes dementia is bringing onto the for the older one. Uh, is it bringing some kind of nervousness? Is it bringing some kind of anxiety? So one can detect really early, and this can really help in diagnosing right treatments and find best support to make future decisions for the elderly. Data collection, when we are developing something like this, the data collection itself becomes very important. Uh, of course, people spend around 3 billion hours each week in playing games in the younger spaces, but uh, there are some clickable games. For example, Farmville, which is like you just have to drag and build your farm and buy assets and do something with that. Basically, it's more about managing your community. So of course, it's about managing your community, but from the back end, there is an agenda that doing very small tasks and getting those instant gratitude or feeling of instant happiness and achievement in a very small, short time. 2 minutes games like uh, Candy Crush. A lot of people play Candy Crush even in metro, even during traveling, even sitting in the afternoon. So it's just about clicking, and you instantly get incentives in this particular game. So these very small task and achievement gives feeling of instant gratification and instant like happiness. Cognitive training, with that cognitive training, using games as a medium may be effective. As a video game for concentration, attention, hand-eye coordination, memory, decision making, and speed reactions. So over the period of time, as we have also developed similar kind of multiple levels of games. For example, taking a shape, identifying shape and color and putting into this mandala. So again, dragging and dropping to the right. So it will help in bringing more so it's a strategy come skill based levels we have chosen. So if we are choosing the right one, the square, and putting it into the right square, so it's more of like a skill. But again, at the back end, it's strategy. For example, choice of shapes and colors, it defines mental state. Complexity, it defines cognitive capacity. Coherence, it defines logic. And prompt layering, how fast one is playing the game, that is about speed and attention, how much, and time, of course, how much one is giving in finishing this task. So these task-based things one can bring. Again, very short, very small, achievable goals. Another level is bringing same thing. There's a shape, you have to identify a shape, match the shape, and bring the shape into the main mandala. So again, matching, but it gives at the back end, it's about skill. It's about speed of the game, which defines the additional attentional speed, how one is active mentally. Connecting shapes defines visual spatial ability. If I'm able to see the right square, circle, or different symbols and able to analyze it quickly. Prompt layering, logic and calculation. So it brings a lot of information, how you bring a lot of what is going on in real life, and these exercises can be done even without doctors help, because these are basic very small and short games and all. Another part I wanted to move for, when we are, so one is about games, but there are a lot of products in the market which helps which elderly population. I won't say elderly population, elderly, I would like to say elderly gurus, because they have actually lifetime. They have really taught us so many things. So I think population is a very bad word, but more about elderly gurus. So when they are using day-to-day things, for example, a glass or a bottle, so what as a designer we do, suppose a person is holding a bottle. So how, if the bottle size itself is very thick, so it can slip from the hand. It can also be of different material. It can be of different shape and size. So we work on the usability of how we are holding a bottle. We work on the measurements, which is more of the ergonomics of the hand, how the size is, what's the size of the finger when you actually fold it, how much one has to really uh, uh, one is going to hold it, whether what kind of space has been left or not. So we take all these measurements. Similar thing being applied in multiple sections. It can be a bottle, it can be a small dibby for the medicine. It can be a small maybe a cream or bottle, or any kind of bottle. It can be spoon, it can be a glass, it can be anything. So all these aspects are important. So we do kind of analysis in terms of ergonomics, in terms of the behavioral points, in terms of usability. After that, once we do our tests, we start looking at the visualization of it, how maybe our elderly would like to kind of use certain things, whether it's a bottle or a box or a glass, or maybe it's the gadgets, which is now most a lot of people are using. There was a time when there was happening a shift, but uh, now again, like people are using, but still a lot of people are not using because of the fear of using the digital things. So what I'm trying to say, when we are designing something for elderly, we do observational studies, we do behavioral studies, we record sometimes the just we put up the camera and record the behavior, how they are holding things, how they are bending, how much they are bending. And on the top of that visual data, we start putting our points in terms of the research points, observational points in our
Professor Charu?
database. Yes, I'm just going to finish.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'll be quicker. So again, we do the design part of it. For example, when we see a box of medicines, so in this, if you see this photograph, it's very difficult for any elderly person, even for me, in fact, to really figure out which medicine I have to take. So usability issues are there, font legibility on the medicines, placement of the font, color, everything looks same. Cognitive load is very high as compared to this. We know, like which aspect needs to be used when, which medicine needs to be taken when. In terms of technology, the gadgets are small. Technology used by elderly are mobile phones, tablets, computers, and but when we talk about if we just change the font size from 12 point to 36 point, it brings a lot of difference. So very small kind of legibility, readability kind of things we can bring in. Color becomes very important when we are designing our instruments and gadgets for the elderly members. The font size, as again I say, the product has to have the simplicity. For example, very basic example of using a microwave. As compared to this and as compared to this, which one is quicker to heat? So this brings memorability. This requires vision. So one can see more cognitive load. So this will work much more better because there are so many different sections of information which is here in it, and that becomes too much heavy for any person. Nokia 1100 phone, which was with a large main button and smaller secondary button. So this main button and of course the haptic pressing of things, like if you want to switch off the point is more of inwards. So when you put a finger or a thumb, even by closing your eyes, this is for switching off, or something for picking up, which is more of extruded. So these kind of things, for example, when we are designing a phone, bringing more of legibility in terms of font size, how we are bringing in. So decision model for elderly household medical products or any kind of products, it has to have aesthetics, means of course it has to have functionality, whether because it has to work. It has to have aesthetics, becomes very important. What kind of shape, what kind of color, what kind of material, what kind of decorative element we are using. Practicability, simplicity, comfort, durability, safety, all these things become very important. So just to close the session, a few findings are that use real life examples and mind the process in digital products. Digital products are design digital products, navigation and hierarchy more carefully. What will come first, what will come second, for especially for laptops or the kind of fonts we are using, or the programs we are developing on the laptops for elderly members. Test with all the audiences. Iterative process is very important when we are designing something for elderly. Destructive, high importance actions slightly harder, so that they won't be able to reach, or by mistake it won't get pressed. Uh, update your product wisely. Don't change everything at once because it will bring a lot of cognitive load. So every time, try to keep things much more similar as you move towards versions of it, versions of that product. Text and tool tips are very important. Please pay attention to that. For navigation upfront becomes very important. Altering frequency used flows becomes very important. Large enough fonts become very important. Options to put text next to icons becomes very important because many people they are not maybe aware about the icons itself. Accessibility of using the adjustable dramatically desktops becomes very important because the posture of everyone is different, and over the prior period of time it becomes different. Write copy knowing that seniors audience may use different phrases and don't know even basic technical terms, so always write a copy knowing what exactly this symbol recognizes. Touch inputs should be made easier. For example, more intuitive, just a click rather than drag or any other inputs you give. Respond to tapping or clicking very quickly. So yes, with this I wanted to share these some of the learnings and yes.
Thank you, Professor Charu. Thank you so much for so many insights, which actually rings bell for me because I encountered some of those challenges as well with my parents. And thank you so much. And we will come back with the questions. Okay, let me ask Professor Charu, quick question.
Yes, please.
On the cognitive load side, you mentioned, one of the images you showed really stuck with me, which is, all the medication, right? Which
Yes.
medication to take, because as we age, our number of pills will increase.
Yes.
And that was one of my biggest challenge for me with my parents as well. And finally, we figured out where, the what we call a jugaad way, if you will, different colored packets, Ziploc bags. But I was wondering, are there any solutions for that right now?
So, of course, there are very limited solutions. I mean, one is, of course, marking those small boxes with color code and actually writing it. But over the period of time, I realized that even color coding doesn't work well because doctor prescribe like you have to take particular medicine in the morning 2 times,
Yes.
then afternoon 3 times, then
Yes.
at night 2 times again. So it becomes
Yes.
very confusing.
Yes.
For that's why I have seen very limited solutions. Only one solution, in fact, I have seen this whole box, which is like you must have also seen like a box with our
Yes.
different sections, and
Yes.
you have to really mark it within that day one, morning,
Yes.
evening, so those
The
kind of things. But
the problem with
I feel like it works with the small medicines, but not with something which elder person have to add. Suppose for eye problem, right? There
yes.
are
Yes.
10 medicines, in fact. So I have not seen many of the solutions.
That's
But
one of the problem. You're correct. Then there is syrup, then there is eye drops, and then some of the tablets are big, some of the tablets are small, and there's all
and
kinds of mix and
in
match
every visit, doctor of course checks
changes.
the whole thing and it changes.